So today I'm going to talk about some of the best options to do post-exercise in terms of reducing muscle damage, soreness, fatigue, and also inflammation. So this isn't going to be subjective. I'm going to be using this meta-analysis. Now this meta-analysis pulls records from 3 databases. Those are PubMed, Embase, and Web of Science. It started off with around 1,700 records, and then it whittled it down to 80 for DOMS, 17 for perceived fatigue, and then 43 for muscle damage and inflammatory markers. Now, this is kind of the first visual result, and I'm going to explain the first one and then hopefully the others will make sense as well. So anything to the right is good because it's decreasing it, and anything to the left is bad because it's increasing it. So for example, creatine kinase in terms of these studies is a marker for muscle damage. So anything to the right means less muscle damage, and anything to the left of that middle line means more muscle damage. Now, in terms of the best ones here, you can see massage is probably the best, and in its range it doesn't even go negative at any point. The next best one is contrast water therapy, but it can occasionally increase creatine kinase. And then the third best one seems to be immersion. Now next are IL-6 and CRP, and in terms of this study they are biomarkers for inflammation. So for IL-6 first, massage seems to be the best one here, and you got cryotherapy actually, which is pretty similar, maybe even better because it's got a smaller range. Then you got like contrast water therapy, and the others are kind of like quite tightly wound together, but best ones are probably massage and cryotherapy there. And then for CRP, we haven't got as many results unfortunately, but we have cryotherapy as the best, but they all do kind of edge into the negative here. And again, IL-6 and CRP, these are signs of inflammation. So the more to the right is less inflammation, and the more to the left is more inflammation. And I guess for the purpose of this study, to keep it simple, let's say they're trying to reduce these markers, so we'll call that a good thing, even though I realize that is kind of subjective whether you want to reduce inflammation. Now for anyone who is interested, there's also these tables for creatine kinase, IL-6 and CRP, but just on immersion, and it separates out whole body, leg and different temperatures, so I'll leave that there if you are interested in immersion. Next is the table of DOMS and perceived fatigue. Now I won't go into it too much because I feel like the video is getting a bit longer now, but in terms of that SMD column, that's the standardized mean difference. So the smaller ones are better, and we also want the ones who have a little star in the far right column because that means they're significant. So in terms of DOMS, massage is definitely the best because it has the biggest reduction at -2.26. Then you've got compression garments and active recovery are also quite good at around 0.9. And I've just noticed as well, actually, hyperbaric therapy seems to increase DOMS, which is quite interesting, but it doesn't seem to be significant. Now in terms of perceived fatigue, we've got massage and stretching are the best, and massage is really good there too, just by itself. And then we've got compression garment. Now I will summarize soon, but I will just pop these up quick in case you do want to look at these. Now this is for DOMS and perceived fatigue over a period of time for each sort of, I guess, therapy you want to call it, or post-exercise routine. And it's kind of color coded, so you can just see the color and how effective it was over time. Again, similar thing here, but just for creatine kinase, CRP and IL-6. And if you don't remember, the top 2 ones are basically going to be markers of inflammation, and the bottom one is going to be muscle damage. And just to throw it in here as well for anyone who is still interested in the immersion part, this is a table of the immersion data in relation to DOMS and perceived fatigue. Now I realize that was a lot of information, and in their discussion they do go through each individual thing in a bit more detail, but if you want to look up the study yourself, please feel free to look at all of those. But in the summary, and this isn't going to be a big surprise, massage really stood out. And in terms of DOMS or perceived fatigue, you know, massage seems to be the most effective, and then you've also got water immersion and the use of compression garments, but again massage seems to be the best. And in terms of like inflammatory markers, you know, you've got massage and cold exposure, and then the cold exposure is immersion and cryotherapy. So it depends what you're looking for, but if you are trying to, you know, reduce DOMS, inflammation, massage seems to be like the standout one here, and it's definitely what I would choose. I haven't had a massage in years, but it's definitely something I would be interested in after seeing this study. Now I do want to make a point because I don't know if they mention it in this study. You might not want to reduce inflammation, and again, I'm not telling anyone to do any of this, but in terms of muscle building and certain goals, I know that inflammation is needed to build muscle, or at least this is my understanding. So I guess a big question is, do we want, or does someone want inflammation reduced? But again, that's a separate study and like a separate video, but I thought this was a really good study, great meta-analysis, loads of great visuals, and a lot of clear information that is like not too hard to understand, to be fair. And yeah, I enjoyed making it. I know there was a lot of information, so it's maybe a long-ish video compared to what I usually make, but if you have made it all the way through the end, I really appreciate it, and thank you for watching. And yeah, that's pretty much it.